Good evening and welcome back to the world-renowned Gold Rush weekly watch list. So a lot of interesting movement in the market the past couple of weeks. Seems like we found the top in SPX here at 4,600. So we'll be looking for some previous demand to see if we can try to retest that area. SPX right now is forming a falling wedge, and possibly into this 50-day. So we'll see what happens. So take it day by day, right? But I'm looking at something like this. Hold on, let me flatten this a little bit. Got a little bit of a falling wedge working its way down to the 50. A lot of falling wedges set up in the market this week. Let's just go through the list real quick. QQQ, obviously same setup as SPX. Currently a bearish setup falling into that 50-day. So we'll see what happens into that 50-day. We got some, I think this is one of my favorite setups for the week. Is this one? We move this into view. Let's see, because we got this third. This is the third time that we're back at this area, and the last couple of times that we were there, we failed to break it, right? So we did fill the gap here, but we failed to break the area. So there's a bunch of interest in this area. So I think that there's some good momentum bringing us into some, even if we consolidate here for a couple of days, there's going to be a big move coming out of this area into the 90, 91, 92 numbers. So a lot of interest for XLE right now. So what that means is pick your favorite energy name and run with it. XLF is forming this massive wedge, right? Let's go into the weekly so you can see, right? You got this massive wedge forming on XLF. It's bounced here 3 times at $30 and like 40-ish cents where previous resistance was. So it's in a good spot. So let's see if there's some follow through to continue to break this wedge and work its way to the upside, or fail and come back and retest this area of demand down at 24. Marvell is one of my favorites. I'm not going to talk. So I'm going to do this a little bit differently. I'm just going to kind of go through the vibe as quickly as possible, and then we'll go over any requests or anything, but I don't see anybody in the room right now. So I'm just going to run through these as quickly as possible. I have a lot to go through. And if you want any specific levels, just, feel free to hit me up anywhere, and I'll get back to you. So Marvell, after this gap up from earnings, we got this wedge broke out into kind of a broadening formation onto the 50. So that's holding my interest right now, right? Because there's a lot that can happen here. So I would like to see a big move coming out of Marvell soon. Either way, it's still within this massive channel. If you want to take a look at, for example, let's go from here. It's still trying to find its way within this channel, but so far there's a little bit of different kind of momentum here. Nvidia, I think it was a weekly. Yeah, I mean, Nvidia just kind of like, it's currently consolidating at a, where it's reached its new high. Trying to find where it wants to live. Does it want to go higher? Does it want to kind of work its way back down and try to fill some of the volume that it left back on this candlestick? So something interesting. Let's see who else is on this list. Tesla. Tesla consolidating above the 50-day moving average on the weekly, right? Consolidated on the weekly. So let's see if we can get a continuation move. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. Hang on. Sorry, Discord. All right, there we go. So yeah, we got this kind of falling wedge, falling right into the 50-day moving average once more. So that's going to be the predominant look in the market for a bunch of these names. Most of tech kind of looks this way. Let me see who else. This full screen mode. Good. We'll see a bunch of names that are kind of like, working their way, kind of falling wedge, kind of cup and handle, right? Kind of handle vibe. Here's your cup. There's your kind of handle forming above the 50-day. So you're gonna see similar setups. Same thing with Netflix, right? We got the cup, and then we got like a little handle here, breakout, continuation, higher highs and higher lows, trending upward, exploring space with this candlestick, right? Doing a bunch of different things. Right above the 50-day. So definitely a bullish setup. Twilio on the, let's go to the daily. Twilio needs time, but there's a double bottom, a double bottom that formed on the 100-day moving average, and there's a massive head and shoulders over here, right? This whole area, all this consolidation, all this channeling here is the left shoulder, and then we reach some new lows down here, right, in November 2022, and then we came back and retested in May 2023, and now we've formed new highs and we're kind of consolidating. We've been consolidating since we formed this candlestick here on May 20 something. Hold on, let me zoom into it. This candlestick here, May 31st, and we've kind of just been ranging in this area. So I want to see what it does with this 50-day. I want to see what it does, you know, on the longer term time frames. But if we get a nice jump in tech, then Twilio will be a very nice setup potentially to retest. I needed to break that 67 level for it to go ballistic, but you know, it's going to be a very long term play. LRCX, very beautiful price action. You know, we got the gap up with earnings, and we formed new highs, came back, tested it, formed a higher low, and now we're just kind of wedging. So I want to see what LRCX does. I believe it's probably going to just go sideways for the next couple of days until it makes this decision at the end of this wedge. Obviously we have to hold the 674 level, but even if we don't, and we get a candlestick that starts forming here at 673 and change, and we can get a nice candlestick to the downside to give us a nice gap fill. So either way, you can count on LRCX for some good size candlesticks and good volume. The next one is, I'm just looking through this one, Apple. So Apple is obviously the key to the market. At this point, all we can do is kind of see where support lives for Apple, right? We came back to retest a Fibonacci move from this bounce here up to this high and the retracement, right? So we're back into that area where we kind of retraced and went sideways for about 6 days or so before we broke out. So we're just here. Let's see if there's some support in that level. And thank God I left some of these old numbers on my chart, right? Let's see. Coinbase, same thing. You got that kind of that crane's neck with the beak, right? The long beak falling into the 50-day moving average. So I think there's some more in Coinbase. Coinbase obviously has kind of the same setup as Twilio, where it's formed some lows, some lower lows, back to the higher lows, and then a breakout move, right? So always keep your eyes on the long term. I mean, look at how clean this weekly chart is. And if you believe in the technology, then, you know, I think that the current price is a steal for this, right? Blockchain, that is, right? So yeah, Coinbase is set up nicely. Snow, I don't have anything for this week. You know, I don't think that it's ready yet. Let's see, RCL. I just keep ignoring this, right? I look at it every week, and every week it sets up beautifully, and I just keep ignoring it. So I'm gonna do a better job at trying not to ignore it this week, because there's a beautiful falling wedge into the 20-day moving average. A previous area of resistance is now potentially acting as support, right? As we know, falling wedges are very bullish. So and then, you know, we had an extended move. I believe is it this one? Yeah, it's this one. We had this kind of bounce into this new high, and then I projected the Fibonacci projected the 1618 level, which is exactly where it rejected. So now we're pulling back into the 786 fib, and if that fib, you know, is one of the golden level fibs, so if it holds, then we can get a bounce and maybe starting to form a channel in this area back to this 1618. So I'm loving RCL, and there's a lot of potential in it, and so there'll be something in your future with RCL. Same thing with Delta. Delta is forming that same kind of falling wedge into the 50-day moving average, looking beautiful. I want to see a breakout to retest the high here at $50. X is off the list this week. UPS is off the list. Let's see, TSM off. I'm not in love with AMD right now. AMD looks really good on the weekly, but right now it's kind of ugly. I want to see it above these big bars, right? Clear the big bars on both high or low level, whatever, right? But for AMD, it's going to be important to recapture that 50-day moving average. It broke down below, and it tried to keep up with it, and then it broke above on this day, and then it flushed hard on this day, right? And now it's doing it again. It's working its way back into the 50. So we gotta tomorrow, let's expect for AMD to kind of break above the 50. Either break, you know, depending on what the market does. Like if it's flat, then it'll break above the 50 and then kind of retest this high, and then maybe form a big candle that goes down or something, right? Just form a tail here and then just shoot all the way down to the bottom, or it'll just break this and go straight down to the bottom. Either way, there's going to be something interesting with AMD at this 50-day moving average. So Amazon went absolutely nuts after earnings. Obviously, you're in kind of no man's land, even though there's volume here from before, but like you have to paint some new volume here. And so I like the weekly on this. I mean, you know, it's very, very nice, very clear exactly where we're going to end up with Amazon, right? We're going to go back to this 146.39 level. And then above that, we're going to try to revisit the, the 155-ish level. So, and then always kind of look at the long term on Amazon. You know, fell really, really hard, and then now we're just kind of like, we're not very, very far away if you put it all into perspective. So, loving Amazon for the long term. What else we got? DBX. This is like falling wedge into the 50-day and then bounce, right? This is exactly what we want every other part of the market to do. You want to see all these other names that I just kind of went through. You want to see them all form the same exact pattern into the 50-day, right? For most of these tech names, and then bounce and break out and try to retest some of the highs. So DBX is on the list for sure, right? And what are these levels? These are some old levels. Yeah, these are old levels. So we got that. We broke above this pivot, and now we're coming back to we came back to retested it, and then we bounced. And then we have this kind of midway point, and then we have this pivot over here, which is the ultimate goal, right? To break above that. So it's kind of like a cup and handle vibe formed on Dropbox. So Dropbox is like #1 for me this week. Meta, I don't really have anything for Meta. It's riding the trend. Obviously, it's like higher highs and higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. You expect it to form a higher high at this point, right? You know, in our previous analysis, we were looking for this level at 325 as the final target, as I have listed there. And like, you know, we obviously reached it. And so now that we've reached our final target, we're probably going to cool off a little bit. Maybe we can break down below this 20-day and come back and test this 1618 extension here, right? Back where we've kind of bounced in the past, right? So maybe we form kind of a channel here for a little bit, maybe 2 weeks worth of channeling, right? Because they had some great earnings, and then they fell. So, you know, they're kind of drifting downward. Maybe they're drifting into some support so they can bounce even higher, right? Meta hasn't broken trend once. I mean, it's clear as day to me, right? You guys can see the higher highs and higher lows, just like kind of working its way through this channel, right? Let's see there, do yellow, right? Higher highs and higher lows. It has yet to disappoint. JP Morgan, same kind of thing as the market. You know, there's some strength in XLF right now. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, cup and handle breakout, exactly the breakout move that we were looking for. I want to see it above 159.14, whatever this is, like firmly above this candlestick. 159.03 is the high. So a big strong candle that forms above 159.03 that tries to target the range of this one candlestick here. That's going to be the goal, right? The ultimate goal for this one's going to be 169.52 ish, right? Whatever the high of this is, 169.81, right? So above this one, we go to that one. And we really got to, with some gusto, break into this new zone, you know. But we've got some good momentum on a weekly, even though some of these upper wicks are very, very infuriating. But it is what it is, right? Some of this chop is, especially when you're trying to like work your way through trading out of this 4 or 5 days of chop, 6 days of chop, right? Insane. Lulu on the weekly, it's just going sideways right now. It needs to clear, you know, it's the same areas that are in play, right? 384.05. It needs to break above that area and form some candlesticks up here into the 396 and the 400 area. So that's what we're looking for with Lulu. But it's set up really nicely. I mean, you got these lows over here, kind of came and retested, formed some lower lows, came back, formed some higher lows. So you can kind of call it a head and shoulders, right? We have the neckline right here. We just have an area of interest, right, where we're consolidating right underneath the previous area where we've rejected very, very hard. So if we can consolidate, and then, you know, from this point on, there's going to be a big decision that's going to be made, which I think, you know, let's just zoom out a little bit. Break out above this area, we're going to break through this 485, 83 and over 500 and break out for real to like maybe 580, 600, you know, in the future for Lulu. But if we fail to take this current level where we're at, we can easily break down through these levels and pull into the 23% fib level. like break down through all of this chop here and break this trend. You know, there's kind of an uptrend going on over here, right? We'll finally break down through that trend and probably test this level here where there was previous demand. But this is on the weekly. Obviously, it's going to take a long time to play out. And there's also kind of a head and shoulders forming. Here's your shoulder. There's your head. Here's another shoulder, potentially, right? So big move coming out of Lulu, which requires lots of patience. Who else we got? Hold on. Let me just look at the list. CCJ. CCJ, I believe it's the weekly chart that has my interest. Let's see. Well, I mean, obviously CCJ's, you know, we had that kind of consolidated, pretty much an entire year of consolidation. And we finally broken out above that, that previous level, that falling resistance line, consolidated and strong move out upward, right? So we got a calculated, a Fibonacci impulse move here into this high, and then we kind of ran a retracement. We found that there was a little bit of price exploration into these retracement levels, and then, you know, CCJ continued to break out and test the new highs, and it came straight to the 161.8% Fibonacci level and found some resistance and fell hard, like kind of hard from there, right? Not too bad. I mean, this was a big day of volatility. It opened up here and went all the way down to as low as what was the low of that? 34.17. So pretty much an entire 70-cent move in one day, right? 70 cent, 35 or whatever amount of cents down and back up. Like, just insane volatile day. Terrible day to trade, CCJ. But yeah, I see some more upside in it, obviously. Once we can try to reclaim that 161.8% fib. Let's see. I don't have anything for Microsoft. CAT is just a continuation move. I mean, you know, you got a nice breakout, and then we kind of are exploring price within the range of this new daily candlestick. So if we find support at the bottom of the candlestick, then we can continue to kind of test that 300 level I'm looking for. Let me see something. This fib, yeah. See something. Okay. All right, let's see this one. I'm just measuring some of these moves to kind of see where price is gonna land, or price has landed. I like this one the best. I mean, this one serves the bias the most, right? So looks like we are right around, we rejected right around the same area, right? So when you see those moves, when you see these kind of pops, go ahead and throw a fib on it and throw the projections on it, because I find that this 1618 shows up in a lot of different places, and that kind of helps me to figure out where things can potentially move, right? Let's see, nothing for pen. I think there's a big gap in the blue flags. DKS is one of the best setups in the market right now. Dick's Sporting Goods, right? You're just now you're entering, and very quickly, right, some of this territory here, right? So the target for this is to get back to that 149.73. You obviously got, you know, there's an area of interest here. You had the 50-day support, consolidated, tried to make a decision, decided to go hard down, came back, retested it, rejected again, tried it again, rejected again. So they've been fighting ever since kind of, you know, this area here, but we're above it now, and we're above the 50. We're above all the moving averages. Now we got to get the moving averages to all line up in order, right? So we'll see how that's going to work out next maybe 4 or 5 days, depending on what DKS does. But obviously we want to see it get back to that 149.73. And you know, it's possible it can do it in 1 day, 2 days, and then 150 above 152. So like 149.73 is like what we can expect this week. 152.61 is what we can hope for by next week. if the trend is strong with DKS. I think there was something, another, was it? Yeah, I mean, and then the weekly is just like super clean. All right, we got all this consolidation, nice breakout move to break all this consolidation, right? It's igniting the play, going into new territory, revisiting this previous demand supply zone over here, right? So, but above 152.61, it can really get hopping. Let's see what else we got. I try to make these a little bit quicker so that you know, people can digest it much more easily. This play has a lot of my interest right now. I've been watching it all last week. You know, look at the weekly. I mean, this thing's about to go absolutely nuts. A lot of early explosion in this company, and then it kind of pulled back, consolidated. And the weekly on this is just all channel, and it's finally now trying to break through the channel. So this is gonna be top watch for me for these next few months. I think it's, you know, and obviously we've been charting it since it was here, and then through this level here, and so now it's time to keep your eyes on it. I'm just creating a mental note for myself here. And then what else we got? LI is good, so that means, you know, Neo's looking good. BX, so BX has this on the weekly, it has this kind of broadening formation after a breakout candle, right? So you just zoom in on this so you can just see the broadening a little bit more clearly, right? Got this candlestick and, you know, this area here, it's good. And then you got the top of the body with the bottom of this candlestick on the weekly gives you that, right? So, you know, we got to remount that 20-day. I think that to revisit some of these previous levels, let's go back to the weekly. That's why the weekly is so important. You know, the main level to break through is at 109, right? And it kind of tapped it, it's consolidating underneath it. So same thing, right? This is gonna be one of those plays that might take a little bit more time to develop, but once it does, there's a nice powerful move, and look at all the potential. I mean, obviously there's a bunch of supply sitting right here at that 148 level, and that's where we want to take this back to ultimately. So BX, you know, if you think that there's going to be strength in the banking sector and private equity, then go ahead and throw some money into BX and hold on to it for, you know, for a few months. You can stomach it, but I think that there's some good gains to be had with BX. Who else we got? I think there's like 2 or 3 more. DPZ, Domino's Pizza. This is a beautiful setup. I mean, these almost look like Heiken-Ashi candles, right? They're all one color for like 8 candles in a row, and then they flip. Right, crazy. So we had this nice breakout move, and now we're testing all of this area of interest, right? I mean, it's not like we haven't been here before, right? We just got all this area to retest. So, but what I like about it is we got this strong green candle. Then we had kind of that the resting bar, right? Like a 3-bar play type resting bar. Then we had another doji, but it broke through the high of this doji and it formed a green candlestick, and it looks like it almost engulfed it. Let's see, the low is 383.21, low is 382, so it almost engulfed it it missed by 2 cents. And then we have an inside bar after that. So this is just a very juicy setup right now, right? We have all this wick right here, a doji, you know, 2 dojis and a very, very tiny bar with a small range formed within the body, within the top and bottom of this wick right here. Insane. So I would love to see more continuation there. I want to see some consolidation on the smaller time frames, like the 1 hour. Let's look at the 1 hour. Yeah. I mean, it's not in a bad spot where it is now, right? Resistance, 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 flip, support, support, support. So maybe we have more support, right? And if we do have the support, then we want to break above this level here. We want to break above this level there. And if we do that, we can take the top of the doji of the upper shadow of that big, that massive candlestick, right? And from there work our way into 420, 440. you know, but it might take, who knows how long it'll take to develop. It could do it in one day if it wants to, right? Depending on what's going on in the news. So, but I like a lot of these tech-based companies. Like there's a lot of technology in Domino's service, right? LI obviously is a technology company, but like DKS, right? Like DKS is set up to give us a nice move. So is Cat, right? Cat for continuation. So is CCJ, right? Lulu, Dropbox. Well, Dropbox is, you know, and Dropbox and them all have kind of that falling wedge breakout vibe. Um, you know, we want the DALs and the RCLs. Those are where we want. Those are, I think that the Dow is poised to make a nice strong move. I was looking at Square for earnings. If you like the technology, I think that Square is a good, or a Block rather, is a good buy. I mean, you know, it all it can do is just revisit this low, right? So if you're interested in it, maybe buy a couple of shares so you can kind of see what it does. There's potential for Block to, you know, I don't know if it's going to come all the way up here, but it can definitely start to form a wedge from down here, right? There's a lot of confusion here around the 140 level that I think that this needs to revisit before it can decide whether it's going to actually be a $63 stock, or if it's going to try to go back above, you know, $175, $190. So I like Square. I think that if you like it, maybe you should think about buying it there. Target as well. Target's a phenomenal price for the value, right? Can't wait for this to go back public, but for now, and it left you on a good note too. It left us on a high note. We have a nice kind of an inverse head and shoulders, right? We also have good consolidation in this area, a nice break through the consolidation. We also have a breakup, right? We broke out of this kind of little, get this consolidated formation here, broke out, came back, retested it, went sideways, and now we're like kind of shrugging our shoulders. It's like kind of that very clean cup and handle, almost like a saucepan, I think they're called. But look at all these fucking dojis. I can't wait for this thing to go back to public. But anyway, we got UAL. I'm sure it's going to be a bullish setup as well. Let's see. Walmart's phenomenal. Let's go to the weekly. Yeah, Walmart just needs to same level as discussed last time, you know, the 160.77 level. We've consolidated on that level for about 2 weeks now. So once we get that breakout, I want to see some of these fib levels hit, right? I want to see that 165.46 and that 173.46. You know, I like Walmart because Walmart's sturdy. Like it makes nice sustained moves, right? Nothing too crazy. I mean, obviously we get massive reactions such as, you know, to news such as like earnings events or whatever the case may be, but you know, it's been holding a nice uptrend. It's made new highs, right? It broke through this high to form new highs. So let's see what happens with Walmart. If you like it, now's a good price, I think, to own it. And if you like to trade it, there's definitely a big move coming up above that $160.70 mark. And what else do we got? Let's see. Overall, I'm feeling pretty bearish. I mean, SPX looks like there's a little bit more downside to it. QQQ looks like there's more downside to it. So right now, I'm just gonna play the trend. But you're gonna look for smaller names that are gonna kind of ignite the move, right? You're gonna look for those drop boxes that kind of get the party started, right? So we'll see what happens tomorrow. I think that tomorrow will be set up for, and by tomorrow I mean Monday morning, August the 6th, I believe it will be tomorrow. August 7th. Tomorrow's August 7th. I think the next couple of days are gonna set us up nicely for a very strong Friday, right? We're gonna get maybe a Thursday into Friday move. It depends on who's reporting this week. Let's take a look. So we have BYND on Monday. We have HIMS. We have Palantir. Palantir is gonna be interesting. Lucid. We have Tyson is never disappoints. Riot tomorrow. We got a lot of names. BNTX tomorrow, and then on Tuesday we got AMC, we have Rivian, we have ADT, we have UPS, we have Datadog. I was looking at DDog. I don't like the setup this week, so let's see what happens with earnings. Maybe earnings sends it in in one direction or the other. We have Roblox on Wednesday. I haven't seen Roblox in a while, so I gotta start looking at that again. TTD, Disney. Disney chart looks like dog shit right now. We got Baba on Thursday. Okay, cool. So interesting week, I think. A lot of like mid cap names, and so some of these mid caps are. If we get a strong move within the mid caps, and then tech, then it's not just the tech move that's sustaining the market, right? We want to see that same kind of move and that same bullish behavior, work its way into the smaller and lesser known names. So that's very important for the market. And I'll take 2 or 3 red weeks in tech to get some good, some good sideline action. So yeah, guys, that's it. Thank you for joining me for our Go Rush weekly watch list. If you have anything that you want me to look at, just go ahead and throw it in the chat and I'll give you a written analysis. Thank you for spending your Sunday with me, everybody, and happy Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Peace.